Okay.
Hi everyone. My name is Samantha Rumbidzai Vazhure. I'm an author and publisher, and today I'm joined by Nyasha Melissa Chiyanike. Hi Nyasha.
Hi Samantha, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Good. So today we're going to be discussing writing, publishing, everything books with Nyasha. And to kick off, I am going to have to ask you that very difficult question. Who is Nyasha? Tell us about yourself.
Okay, who am I? It's a very hard question. I'm sorry. Nyasha is a writer. I was born in a family of three. Born and raised in Rosapia. It's a small town, and that's basically it.
Okay, that's great. That's great. So Nyasha, when did you know there was a budding author in you?
Kind of happened by accident.
Okay.
So soon after the Turquoise Dreams, soon after the book came out, I just thought, this could be something I could pursue.
Okay.
So it was sort of an experiment to just see if I have a chance in the industry. But
Right.
yeah.
So you're saying you actually started believing you were a writer after you'd contributed 3 stories to Turquoise Dreams.
Yes.
Oh my God, that's really interesting. But surely before Turquoise Dreams, you were writing before.
Yeah, maybe I can take you back to the beginning. I participated in a writing competition in 2016. I was still in school, O level.
Yeah.
So I just wrote I remember it was a letter to your 25-year-old self.
All right.
So I wrote the letter, I think a day before the deadline, just out of interest, and then I just wrote. So after the competition, I won the competition at provincial and national level.
Oh wow.
So it sort of gave people the idea that, wow, she's a writer.
Oh, you are a writer, clearly.
So ever since that time, whenever there were competitions and all, people would just send the links to me. Oh, there's this competition, try it out.
Yeah.
And then I think just before I wrote the stories for Turquoise Dreams, I participated in a competition by Think Africa.
Right.
And then I won that competition. So soon after, everyone was now giving me the pressure, you're a writer, keep writing. But
yeah,
sort of how it happened by accident.
No, I don't think it was an accident. It doesn't sound like it was an accident. I think you're a great writer. So yeah, definitely not an accident. But wow, okay, that's good. It's good to know that. So what has been the fuel and drive behind your work? Where do you draw your inspiration from when you're writing?
Mostly I draw my inspiration from what I feel inside, like my feelings. If there's something I'm concerned about, or something I've seen somewhere, or something I've experienced. Let's take, for example, I come across maybe someone who's facing mental health challenges, and it just strikes me. I feel like in order to deal with that emotion inside me, maybe I can do something by writing about it. So that's what I do.
Okay, that's great. That's great. Thank you. Well, you contributed 3 short stories in Turquoise Dreams. What was, I think you've partly answered this, but what was the creative process like for you?
Okay, so as I've mentioned, I've participated in quite a number of writing competitions. So the first story in the book is Screwed from Birth. That was a story I wrote for a competition. I've forgotten the name of the competition, but I lost. I only got confirmation that they received my submission, and that was it.
Yeah.
So I didn't throw away the story because I still felt like I had put my heart into it. So I kept it. I went over it again and I tried to improve it. So when I got the opportunity, I was like, definitely, I'm submitting this one. And then for the last 2 stories, that's Cut Off and Regret for Dessert. For those stories, I kind of sat down and reflected on what it is I wanted to write on. I wanted to focus on challenges that women face. So I decided to write on forced marriage and female genital mutilation. So that's how I then came up with the last 2 stories for the collection.
Right. Okay, that's great. Could you please read us an excerpt from one of your stories?
Okay. So I'll read the opening to Regret for Dessert.
Okay.
Okay. ends at 4 o'clock. Where have you been? Hesitantly, my lips set apart to let out yet another lie, but this time around, they were too late. A drastic clap landed on my left cheek, knocking the soul out of me for a second. A billion stars danced in my eyes as I staggered backwards and landed on the naked brick wall that stood behind me. I clasped my throbbing cheek in an attempt to contain the pain, and with resentment, I stared at my mother in silence. That's all I'll read.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. Beautiful reading. So I think you kind of touched on this earlier as well, but I'm going to ask the question anyway. That there are quite a lot of life lessons in your stories, and I was going to ask you whether your writing is intentionally didactic or whether you write purely to entertain.
Okay, I can't exactly say I write to teach. At the same time, I can't say I write to entertain, but it's more of to inform, like just to make people aware of the things that are happening in other places, things that other people are experiencing, so that I can just get people reflecting on some of these things. Because at times people are not even aware of what's happening around them, but I feel like once they read a story, then probably they'll be driven to find out more about it, and basically
I kind of do that as well sometimes with my work, so yeah, I get that. Okay, so I know that after Turquoise Dreams you have been writing. So without giving away too much, would you like to talk me through the process of putting together your debut title that's coming up, detailing how long it's taken you to write the book, and any challenges you experienced during the process of writing it?
Okay. Well, I started working on the new project soon after Turquoise Dreams was published, and it's taken me a very long time. Hasn't it been like 2 years or so? I don't know.
So Turquoise Dreams came out in December 2020, and so it's going to be 2 years in December 2022. So yeah,
close to 2 years.
So close to 2 years.
So yeah, soon after Turquoise Dreams came out, I just started working on some short stories, and then it's been a very crazy journey, really. Because well, one of the stories got so long and I thought I could write a novel. Then I thought, nah, I'm going back to the stories. So it's been a lot of experimenting, trying out new things, but yeah, it's been a good journey.
No, it's good, and I like that, we've kind of been communicating throughout the process as well, and you giving me your updates and me checking out some of your work, and but I'm really excited about the new project. I think anyone who read and enjoyed your stories in Turquoise Dreams, they're gonna love the upcoming book. So yeah, really exciting indeed. Do you ever experience the writer's block? You know, did you ever experience it, and have you experienced it whilst you were writing the upcoming book? And if you did, how did you deal with it?
So I always experience writer's block. It happens a lot. I can go for months without writing anything. Not because I don't want to write, but I sit, I try to write, and I just realize it's not gonna happen that way. And I think perhaps the biggest dilemma in my life is, well, at times I get so busy with school, right? And during that time when I have so much to do at school, I have all these ideas floating about, and I'm like, I'm going to write on this. Then as soon as I get a week of free time or 2 weeks, the ideas are nowhere to be found.
Right.
Sometimes happens, but how I've managed to deal with writer's block, the times when I feel the urge to write but things are not exactly working, I try to just read. Focusing on other people's work, just reading around, and in reading at times I just find inspiration, and I can get back to writing. No, that's I can relate to that. But it's interesting what you said about sort of having all these ideas coming through and then you forget.
I thought it happened to just me because I'm getting old. But it's interesting that, other people, like, experience that as well. And what I have done to kind of deal with that issue is every time I have an idea, whether I'm driving or whether I'm doing, whether I'm busy, I stop what I'm doing and I get my phone out and I just, even if it's just a sentence or a line or an opening to a poem, whatever it is, I just get my phone out and I write it, so that I don't forget it, because I'm so forgetful as well. And what I find is that, weeks down the line or even months sometimes, I kind of think, oh, I want to write this thing or whatever. But let me see if I don't have something already similar or something I can link up with. And then I go into my phone and I sort of come across these old ideas I wrote ages ago, and then I don't know, it kind of then just inspires me to write a full, whether it's a short story or a poem or whatever. So yeah.
Yeah. I sometimes do that as well.
Yeah.
Just when I get home, then I scribble things down. So now I
Yeah.
have a huge folder of unfinished stories.
Yeah.
Because at times you get a random idea whilst you're walking.
Yeah,
You write it down and like, I'm going to write a story, and then 5 lines down the line,
Yeah.
there's nothing more
There's
to
nothing
write.
more.
But then I've realized that at times, even 5 months later, you might get back to it, and then you
Yeah.
realize you now have something to write. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I get that. Good. Do you have any advice for a female creative who is doubting their craft?
I think the best advice I could give to any female creative who's in that position is for them to try and get over the fear. I think perfection is impossible, so it's okay to doubt your work, because it can never really be perfect. But then at times you just have to get out of your comfort zone and share your work, because in sharing that work, you also get to improve yourself. You get that feedback from others, and you keep growing. So yeah, that's it.
Okay, no, that's great advice. I think I've learned something from there myself as well. So that's good. What are your thoughts on the reading culture in Africa, and what can be done to improve it?
I think the reading culture is in trouble. It's dying, especially now with social media and all. I feel like people are spending more time on the internet and less time on books. So that's a cause for concern. And then I think it can be improved, but I think it's something that can be improved right from the start as children grow.
Yeah.
Instead of giving them iPads and they spend hours there, you could just have, even at home, just 30 minutes to read a story. Because I feel like it's a culture that you develop bit by bit, the culture of reading. It's very difficult for you to then just wake up one day at 50 and want to start reading. You could do that, but it's easier if you groom children as they grow.
Yeah.
And I think it's something that can be implemented by schools. Just giving children time to read. My old school, primary school, they have study time during the day, but not for the academic books. It's either you're reading a novel or a newspaper for just 30 minutes. And that in itself builds that culture, because you see young kids in primary school holding novels. They want to get more, they want to read more. So I think that's a way of boosting the culture and getting children to start reading, and as they grow, the culture develops as well.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. And I think parents have a part to play as well.
Exactly.
You could maybe gift children books on their birthdays and Christmas, get them a book as part of...
get them to believe that books are cool.
Yeah, exactly. No, yeah, and I totally agree with you there. Okay, so are you currently reading any books yourself, or are you watching anything interesting at the moment?
Yeah, I'm reading a book by Ngugi.
Okay.
It's Whip Not Child. It's set up in the pre-colonial times. So I don't think I've ever read a book like that before. So it's kind of interesting to get that view of things. And then in terms of watching things, I barely watch movies or series or...
Same.
Yeah, but I did watch something, I think, a couple of months back. I watched Stranger Things. It was... I enjoyed it. As a writer, I enjoyed it. I liked the storyline. So...
Oh, that's great. Okay. Do you think you could ever get into screenplay writing or writing movies?
I would want to do that
Okay.
given the opportunity, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would want to explore that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because it's quite. I think it requires writers who are very, very detail oriented. So
Exactly,
yeah, I think
exactly.
you'd be quite good at it. Great. Okay. Who are your favorite authors?
Oh, I'll mention one.
Okay.
I really love Chimamanda.
Yeah.
She's I don't know how to describe, but I'm really inspired by how she writes.
Yeah.
I think I didn't mention this, but as I was writing my book, I also read her short story collection,
The thing
The Thing Around Your Neck.
Yeah.
Exactly, and I really loved the stories. I definitely derived some inspiration from some of the stories.
Mm-hmm.
So yes,
Yeah.
definitely
Yeah. I love her as
Chimamanda.
well. Yeah. Okay. So outside of writing, do you have other talents or interests? I mean, what does Nyasha do when she's not writing?
Oh. Nyasha does too many things.
Right. That's good.
Yeah, and besides writing, I also do a little bit of photography and photo editing. It's
Okay.
just something I do at times. And besides that, I'm also into fitness. I sometimes run. So you find that for my interest, I do certain things for a certain season, and then I stop and move on to something else.
Yeah.
And I try something else as well. Like for now, I've been doing a bit of graphic designing.
Okay.
So that's just who I am.
Oh my gosh.
I like trying out new things.
New things.
Yeah.
Wow. And
Yes.
all of this, and you're a medical student as well
Yes.
at the University of Zimbabwe. I'm so impressed. That's amazing. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. And what is your biggest dream?
That is a very tricky question. So I don't think I have what I can call my biggest dream, because my dreams are really dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
They change with my experiences. As I reach a new level in life, I learn new things and I change my targets.
Yeah.
So I really don't have a biggest dream.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. No, I get that. I get that. And sometimes you kind of write out your dreams, in the books as well that you write, or the stories you write. So when someone asks you what your dream is, you're like, I've already emptied that into a book, so I don't have one right now.
Exactly.
So, yeah, and I get that. Okay. So just to wrap this up, do you have a final message for your readership?
I guess just to thank them.
Yeah.
At times I just think to myself, do people really want to read my work? That self-doubt we were talking about.
Yeah.
So it really touches me when I meet people who read my work and they really love it. I just appreciate their time.
Yeah.
Just taking time to read my work.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of gratitude. I'm just thankful for those people.
Oh, fantastic.
Yes.
Fantastic. No, I get that as well. Sometimes when someone says, oh, I've read your work, I'll be like, you read the whole book? So yeah, I can relate to that feeling, and it's amazing. It's amazing. But you're a great writer, and there's more coming from you, and that excites me a lot. So yeah, I look forward to working with you, for more and more years to come. So thank you very much for talking to me today.
Yes, thank you very much. It's been an honor.
Yeah, absolute honor, and just meeting you as well, because all these works we've done, online. Yes. And whatever. So it's nice to meet in the flesh, and yeah, it's been great seeing you.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right.